Hello there, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mrs. Espinosa and I am a pre-K teacher in Texas. And today, even though it is the end of the school year, I will be giving a classroom tour. So you will see my classroom at the end of the school year and all of its messy glory, but it's okay. So we're just gonna jump right in and I'm gonna start our tour by our front door in the classroom. So whenever the kids walk in the morning, we have a little morning greeting of their choice. We have a hug, a dance, or a fist bump. And then they come in and they put their things away in their cubby. But before I show you their cubbies, some things that I have on the bulletin board here in this piece of furniture. Here, I really just keep our academic calendar. This shows what we're teaching for the month. It shows our theme and our sub-theme. And then we also have what we call a curriculum map, which shows what we're teaching for the week and the specific pre-K guideline and the exit tickets. So it's really easy for any administrator to just walk right in and glance at what we're teaching for the week or for the month. And over here, I just decided to put all of the pre-K guidelines. So if you're not a Texas teacher, let me just explain that these are basically the standards that we teach here in the state of Texas, and they're broken down into 10 domains. I just had extra space, so I put our guidelines here. And if you are a Texas teacher, this is actually a free resource that you can print in my Teachers Pay Teachers, and I will link that below. The next thing is that the kids line up and then they have breakfast. So we do breakfast in the classroom and they usually drop it off here. And then in here, I just have like some first aid things. I have gloves and nurse notes and Band-Aids. And then in this piece of furniture, I have Ziplocs and things that the kids bring in as school supplies that we asked for at the beginning of the year, cleaning wipes, tissues. And as you can see, I'm running out of tissue and the baby wipes, disinfectant wipes. All right, and so whenever the kids walk in, they all have assigned cubbies and they have their names on their cubbies. So at the top, they share a bin where they put their clothes inside, just in case they have any type of accident. And down here they put their backpacks, and if they have any blankets for nap time, that's where their jackets or blankets go. And then up here are most of the supplies that I use throughout the year. So that's a really awesome thing about coming into this classroom, because it is my second year in this school, and they have just a ton of resources that are ready to go. Lots of manipulatives. So they are more or less organized. I more or less know what's inside of each of the bins, but I would like to label them. A lot of it is lakeshore, so I just pull it out according to what we're teaching throughout the year. And up here are our big curriculum boxes, which I also love because it serves as a really good way to organize things. If I print things out, I just put it all together in my theme box and then it's ready to pull out for the next year. And so whenever the kids are putting their things away, they also take out their lunch bags and we put it inside my teacher cart because they go to enrichment or specials right before their lunchtime. So it's just easier if we take their lunch bags to the cafeteria so they can go straight into the cafeteria after specials. The last thing over here that I'm going to show is just this blue painter's tape that I put at the beginning of the year, and as you can see, it is very tattered and torn, but this is where the students line up every day, so it's a good visual for them to know exactly where to line up. And now over here, these are our table spots. So we really only sit here in the mornings for breakfast, whenever we do whole group writing activities, and for snack time at the end of the day. And so they all have assigned spots. And I am also a big fan of communal supplies, so the kids share. There's a caddy, a colored caddy at each table, and they have glue sticks. I took away the scissors because this group cannot handle scissors, and all the crayons. Over here is my hot mess area that I have to organize, and this is where they put their mats. And the other thing that I really love about this classroom, aside from how spacious it is that we do have 2 restrooms for the kids. I labeled one for the boys and one for the girls. And this is where I write their birthdays, but I already erased their names for the year. And our sink has been out of order. Now this is our whole group area. So after the kids finish having breakfast, we do a couple of songs and we start our literacy block for the morning. So they all have assigned carpet spots. Any theme vocabulary that we have, I always display here, and it's really awesome that we always get vocabulary pictures ready to go as part of our curriculum. We are learning about the earth, moon, and sky. So essentially the solar system this last month of school. So it's a really fun theme to teach. And some more things that I have for whole group instruction. Every day we do whiteboard writing. So we have our whiteboards here. And we have markers, which I have been buying these Lascaux markers from Amazon, and they've been great. So like every couple of months I'm restocking, but it's a big pack of, I think, 96 markers, so they last a while. And then as erasers, I have socks that I cut up into thirds, and these are still from last year, so they've held up really great, and it's a very inexpensive way to have erasers. And then here is kind of where I keep my lesson plans organized for the week, so I'll print them out a week ahead, and so I'll place next week's lessons in here. And then our objectives, which this is the very specific way that we need to display our objectives. And then these are some observational trackers as well, and then this week's lessons. And I pull out our daily objectives for the week out of here. This is also kind of my, whenever I'm teaching whole group, this is where I'll sit if I have to display anything on the Elmo or the document camera. And then here is where I display my small group. So I actually just took their pictures out, but I print out small pictures for them, and it makes it really easy to just switch around my groups throughout the year. Then I have my small group schedule that I can just glance at. So I really love having a colored system for our small groups. It just makes it really easy to keep track of everything. And now we can go on to my desk/small group area, which is a big mess right now because, like I said, it's the end of the year. But I usually try to keep this clear for small groups. And so speaking of packing up my classroom, I started packing up some things. This is just like a quick tip. The beginning of the year, for their name labels, I print out quite a few of these. So I'll make these for every child. And like I said, I use these for keeping track of their small group, to label notebooks and folders, their cubby spots, their table spots. So having a template to go for the year is really easy. And if I need more copies, it's just ready to go. And what else? Some other labels that I use a lot throughout the classroom as well are this size, and I put these in centers. So I have one for girls and one for boys. A few of the centers I incorporate writing in there, and they love writing to each other, but most importantly, they need to practice writing their name. And I also have an example of their name. We do a lot of name writing the first half of the year, and this is a free template that I got from Teachers Pay Teachers. And I don't remember this name template, where I got this from, but I put this as a name station as well. All right, and so in my teacher area, I did find this kind of like felt board that was already in my classroom. So kind of just have important things. This is like our enrichment/specials schedule. So it's just really easy to glance at. This was from the nurse. These are the only emergencies that she accepts. This is our schedule for the day. These were important dates throughout the year, our yearly calendar. And then this was our assessment waves throughout the year. One of my favorite things that I've purchased as a teacher and has been a very big splurge, but very worth it, is this rolling cart. I redid my labels this year. I got this when I was teaching kindergarten because there was just way too much paper to keep track of. But now that I'm back in pre-K, I reorganized it by center. So I keep a lot of my center work in here and it's ready to be pulled out. And on this side, I keep my small group supplies for each group. So this rolling cart is one of my favorite things, along with my teacher toolbox. This is so beautiful. I love looking at this every day. All right, and then this is my messy area, but I have Sterlite bins to organize even more things like bulletin titles, laminating sheets, cardstock, some extra supplies for myself, and our pre-K guidelines, which this is how I used to display my objectives before we had to display them in that very specific way. But these are also on my Teachers by Teachers, and they are beautiful and color-coded by domain. And they have a child-friendly way of reviewing the objective with the students. And what do I have in here? Oh, calendar numbers. And then here I have lots of small group supplies. I have my big heavy-duty caddy, which I highly recommend having one of these for your small group so that it's just easy to pull out all of your materials. I have special things in here like marker dabbers, extra markers, stamps, and then down here I have some of my small group activities. I know it's kind of tricky to see, but that's kind of it for this area. I do have a microwave and a fridge, and this is where I keep my personal bag. And this is my easel. So I move this to our whole group area in the mornings, and once we're done, it gets parked over here in the corner where it's not in the way. And I guess lastly, let me explain how I do centers in my classroom. So I do have 10 centers in my classroom, and I labeled them with these big, beautiful blue numbers. So you will see these all around the classroom. And then I made these really simple center labels as well, which I just copied and pasted off of Lakeshore. Whenever I search for their products, I just copied and pasted it. Center number 1 is sensory exploration. So I typically have a light table activity or a sensory bin activity. Right now, the kids really liked our animal theme from last month. So they've been loving having ocean animals and shells and water. And then center number 2, I call my STEM center. So whatever we're reviewing in science, I like to put pictures, lots of sorting activities here in this pocket chart. I always have puzzles if they want to do puzzles, and just different types of manipulatives here in the STEM center. And then center number 3 is dramatic play. I try to switch this out at least monthly, but the goal is definitely twice per month according to our theme. I usually align it with a community worker, and I do have some more things inside the closet. My messy but organized closet. I have some of the costumes that they use for centers, and just a few more kitchen things. And then these are my binders where I organized all of my original hard copies of just different, I organized it by skills. And that's something that I started doing, I think, in kindergarten. So those are mostly kindergarten things, but here and there I'll pull things out. This is like my art supplies, and then just random things. And my border here, which I like hanging it up by these command hooks, makes it really easy to keep this organized. Right, and then center number 4 takes place on this carpet, and it is the block center. So right now they just have Legos and dinosaurs. And center number 5 is our word wall. So I'll usually have vocabulary according to the theme or sub-theme for the week. As I said, right now it's kind of solar system. So these are their vocabulary cards. And I put up our sight words, which are part of our I words. And I have a whole video talking about our I words. And I words also made these cards called Alpha Code. So it's also incorporates multisensory instruction by assigning a word and an action to each letter of the alphabet. I love teaching with Alpha Code. So as we're learning the letters throughout the year, I will add our Alpha Code. And now towards the second half of the year is when we start with sight words. So we'll start adding them. I think we're up to like 19 or 20 words right now. I also have the student names here, but I took them down. So this is really it's really a writing center. And over here, I have our center pictures, but of course I turn them around, but the kids work with partners at centers. So just 2 partners at every center. I don't keep track of who's going to what center, how many times per week, because it can change. It's just too much to track, and sometimes kids are absent, so they'll have a new partner for the day. All right, so that's center 5. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 is the art center, and I put the label here on the side. And this week I had a very special volunteer. So she worked on a very cute craft with the Earth planet. So they painted blue and then they crinkled up tissue paper to represent the green. And they had little eyes on their Earth and a smile. I tried to have different materials for them weekly or bi-weekly. So that's the art center. And then we have what I call the ABC Center, which is just literacy. So I'll either have activities that tie into our theme, more writing activities, and skill-based activities with our phonological awareness, phonemic awareness. And then center number 8 is our math center, which math is very hands-on. So it's just all types of manipulatives at center number 8. Pattern blocks, different types of counters. And then number 9 is right here in the corner. It is our library. So something that I have displayed here is our sound wall, which is different from a word wall. A sound wall really helps students make that letter sound correspondence connection. So as we're learning our alphabet sounds throughout the school year, these are locked up. So we obviously learned all of our sounds now, so they're all unlocked, but I do take them off as we're learning them. So it's covered up in locks. And a typical sound wall, if you are maybe a teacher and you've seen the typical sound wall, I modified mine into broader categories. So our categories are consonants, short vowels, and digraphs. So those are the sounds that I teach my students. So they are more excited to start spelling because these are the most typical sounds that we hear when kids start spelling words. I will go to the library and I'll pick out books so that it matches our theme. And our last center is number 10, which is the iPad. So our iPads are in here. They have login cards here and some headphones, and they stay on the carpet when it's their time to log in. And I think that'll do it. That's the end of my classroom tour. So if you have any questions, please leave me a comment and I will do my best to answer it. And I will leave links to things that I got off of Teachers Pay Teachers if you're interested. There's lots of freebies, so definitely look at my Teachers Pay Teachers store. And I hope this was helpful to you. If you are a pre-K teacher, or you're going to be a pre-K teacher, again, let me know any questions that you have. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.